So layer 2s are one of the biggest narratives of 2023, but how much do you actually need to invest in a popular layer 2 in order to generate a decent sized passive income? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Baking Analyst channel, and today the Retire on Crypto series is back, this time with the Arbitrum edition. We're going to be talking about how much you actually need in order to retire on Arbitrum in 2023 as of this week. The idea of retire, and the reason why I'm putting it in quotation marks, is because we are going to be taking a more sustainable approach to yield farming rather than chasing temporary high yields. So really, you could use this to do whatever you want, boost your income, beat inflation or whatever, but you guys seem to like this topic, so we will be rolling with this narrative. So first of all, I'll be going through 3 projects that are in this category of real yield and relatively sustainable income. Then I'll move on to the APRs you'll be getting, and finally looking at how much you actually need invested. Let's jump right into it. So the first app that we'll be talking about, and the newcomer to the list, is Vela Exchange. Vela is another perpetual DEX that just launched on Arbitrum not long ago, and they have a similar system to GMX where they have this thing called a liquidity pool token, VLP. VLP is minted by you depositing USDC into this pool. So you're really providing liquidity by only providing stable coins to this pool. Now, this does change over time as fees accumulate, so you might see this price tick up slowly over time, or it could very well change in the other direction if traders were to make a profit at the expense of the liquidity providers. But anyway, the idea of this remains very similar. The fees from trading go towards the VLP holders. As you see over here, that APR is relatively high at 82.96%, with about 78% going to VLP. Now, there is another token called Vela, which is an escrow token that vests over time. So this is very much like the whole locked token or locked farm token situation that we've seen in previous cycles. And unfortunately, unlike in another project, Eldorado Finance, so far I haven't found a secondary market for this Vela token to swap it directly to Vela. So there's really no way for us to value that token on the market right now. For the purposes of today's video, we will only be taking the VLP APR and treating Vela to be worthless in order to be conservative. Now, the second project I'll be looking at is the OG GMX. I think we've talked enough about GMX because we have been talking about forks of that for a while now. Their GLP is almost half made up of stable coins and the other half made up of relatively blue chip cryptos, as well as the Uniswap token. And that is what GLP is all about. Similar concept, you earn the trading fees, and those trading fees are paid out in Ethereum, or rather wrapped Ethereum. So you're not being paid out in some inflationary token, which is always a good thing. Currently, the GLP APRs are around 20.59%. So that's, well, middle of the road when it comes to what we've seen so far from GLP. Third project that I'll be looking at is a GMX fork, and that is called Mycelium. What you do see on the dashboard over here is basically an identical interface, and looking at this list over here, we see these coins being included in the list. So again, very, very similar to GMX, almost the same list of coins to a T. Now, you might notice these coins at the bottom, but all of them have a target weight of 0%. So those are going away in order. Now, in terms of APRs, you can head over to the Earn tab, and what we see over here is an APR of 23.59%. So those have been the 3 real yield protocols on the Arbitrum ecosystem we're looking at today. Basically, we are doing this chain by chain, so today's narrative is Arbitrum. Now we will move on to talk about how much you actually need invested in order to generate a decent sized passive income that could potentially retire you in a lower cost of living country, and then also testing our hypothesis with a higher amount to see what you really need. So jumping over to our all familiar target income calculator, I've put together a collation of the various APRs on the different farms, Mycelium, GMX, and Vela, and put the target monthly amount to $2,000 a month. That will probably be sufficient for people to cover day-to-day living expenses in a relatively low-cost country. I'll put some examples on screen right now. But in any case, what we do see are pretty good APR, an average APR of close to 40%. So that's quite a bit higher than what we were seeing previously when we just considered GMX and Mycelium. The amount that we will need at current APRs invested into these 3 protocols, assuming an equal split, would be $63,700. Now, you can of course boost this by putting more in Vela, although that is up to you because usually high returns are a measure of high risk. So you still need to invest quite a bit in order to generate just $2,000 a month this way, but at least these yields are more sustainable sustainable than something like yield farms of the past, where we were just sitting in a farm for less than a month and letting the inflationary tokenomics run wild, collect those, dump them, and then move on to the next one. I've added this final bit over here for all you people who think that this is a large amount and that it would be irresponsible, of course, for us to recommend people dumping this amount in. And that is a net worth tab. The idea of this tab over here is to assume that you're only putting 10% of your net worth in crypto. And as you see, even to generate $2,000 a month, I would say you probably want to have at least 600K in net worth in order to do this on an ongoing basis. Because ultimately, I don't represent any of these projects here. You don't want to be caught out and catastrophically impacted if any one or all of these projects were to fail. So those have been the top 3 yield farms and the amounts you need in order to make $2,000 per month. Now, what if you want to maintain your current lifestyle and up it to $6,000 a month for the sake of living in a developed country? Well, then your amount triples close to 200K, which would correspond to a net worth of about 2 million. Now, if you think these figures are slightly high and you want to do something with a smaller amount and achieve similar results, well, the answer is actually on another chain, which we covered in this video over here. But that being said, you will likely still require a decently sized account in order to live off this kind of thing sustainably. All in all, I hope this video has been interesting and informative. If you have that kind of amount, that is the amount you need to execute on. And if you just want to build your crypto portfolio with things like cashback and get some free crypto, well, we do have a link down below where you can get a card with 4% cashback and also get a 20 to 40 US dollar or GBP bonus if you trade 250 whatever currency or more. With all that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.